In July 1943, two armies prepared for the biggest clash of steel in history. The Eastern Front of World War II was about to witness a confrontation that would decide the fate of nations, the rise and fall of strategies, and the very momentum of war itself. This was Kursk, a battle that would see thousands of tanks, hundreds of thousands of soldiers, and countless lives caught in a deadly game of anticipation and fire. The Germans called it Operation Citadel, a meticulously planned pincer movement designed to crush the Soviet forces and regain the initiative after the devastating losses at Stalingrad. They had learned from previous mistakes, gathering new weapons, developing stronger tanks, and lining up the most experienced generals. Hitler was confident. He believed that a decisive blow here could turn the tide of the entire war. But the Soviets were ready. They had studied every German move, anticipated every strike. Deep defenses were built, layer upon layer of trenches, minefields, anti-tank obstacles, and camouflaged positions. The Red Army had turned Kursk into a fortress. They were not just waiting. They were preparing a trap that would make the German gamble costlier than anyone imagined. The stage was set. On one side, Germany's elite panzer divisions, rolling forward with the latest Tiger and Panther tanks, supported by devastating artillery and precise airstrikes. On the other, Soviet forces, vast and determined, with new T-34s, anti-tank guns, and a readiness born from the fires of Stalingrad. Every commander, every soldier knew the stakes. Victory here could change everything. Defeat could spell disaster. The battle began with a roar. The Germans struck, but not with the suddenness they expected. Soviet defenses absorbed the impact. Mines tore through armor. Hidden anti-tank guns rained destruction from carefully camouflaged positions. German tanks bogged down, crews trapped in a deadly labyrinth of Soviet preparation. Every advance came at a terrible cost, and every hesitation was lethal. For the Germans, the initial shock of the Soviet resistance was disorienting. What they had expected to be a swift encirclement became a grinding battle of attrition. They had underestimated the depth of Soviet intelligence and the scale of the defensive works. The Soviets were not only holding, they were channeling the Germans into kill zones, like hunters forcing their prey into a trap. Meanwhile, the Soviets were not passive. Counterattacks were launched at critical moments, exploiting overextended German positions. Tank corps struck from unexpected directions, artillery pounded supply lines, and every inch gained by the enemy was contested with ruthless precision. The battle was a deadly chess match, played with men, machines, and fire. The skies over Kursk were no less lethal. Luftwaffe fighters and bombers engaged the Red Air Force in ferocious combat. Stuka dive bombers tore into tank formations, while Soviet pilots adapted quickly, using tactics that minimized losses and maximized damage to German armored thrusts. Each air battle was a question of timing and courage. Each miscalculation could be fatal. By mid-July, the German advance had stalled. They had inflicted damage, yes, but the Soviet lines held. The Russians, anticipating reinforcements and counterattacks, were prepared to turn defense into offense. And then came the moment the Germans feared most, the counteroffensive. Soviet forces launched massive coordinated attacks from multiple directions. Tanks rolled forward in waves, infantry surged through gaps, and artillery barrages tore into German positions. The momentum shifted, slowly at first, then with unstoppable force. The trap had closed. German units were encircled, supply lines shattered, and the advance that had promised so much now threatened total collapse. The scale of Kursk was unprecedented. Over 6,000 tanks, more than 4,000 aircraft, and nearly 2 million men were engaged in a single battle. Cities, fields, forests, every terrain became a battlefield. Soldiers endured unimaginable conditions: heat, mud, fear, and the constant thunder of artillery. Commanders on both sides faced impossible decisions where every order could mean victory or annihilation. It was in this crucible that legends were born. Tank commanders who defied odds, pilots who danced through fire and flak, soldiers who held positions against overwhelming odds. Each story, a fragment of a larger narrative, added to the weight of history being written in blood and steel. But victory at Kursk was not just about tactics or bravery. It was about preparation, foresight, and intelligence. The Soviets had not only anticipated German moves, they had shaped the battlefield to their advantage. Every minefield, every hidden gun, every reserve unit waiting in ambush was part of a plan that unfolded with chilling precision. By August, the outcome was clear. The German offensive had failed. Operation Citadel was called off. For the first time in the war, the Wehrmacht was forced to retreat decisively on the Eastern Front. The Red Army, battered but unbroken, seized the strategic initiative. Kursk marked a turning point. After this, the Germans would rarely regain the upper hand. The human cost was staggering. Hundreds of thousands were killed or wounded. Tanks and aircraft numbered in the thousands, destroyed or disabled. Entire towns and landscapes were scarred, reminders of a battle fought with industrial ferocity and personal courage alike. Yet from this devastation arose a lesson in resilience, strategy, and the power of preparation. Kursk was more than a battle. It was a test of human ingenuity, endurance, and the ruthless calculus of war. It was where the mightiest armies clashed, where technology and tactics collided, and where the fate of nations was decided in the dirt, smoke, and fire of the battlefield. Even today, Kursk resonates. It serves as a stark reminder that preparation can overcome even the most formidable force, that intelligence and foresight can dictate the outcome where sheer strength alone cannot. It is studied, analyzed, and remembered, not just as a chapter in history, but as a testament to the extremes of human conflict. In the end, the Battle of Kursk was not merely a victory for one side or defeat for the other. It was a turning point in World War II, a moment when strategy, patience, and sheer willpower reshaped the trajectory of history. And it remains a story of epic scale, immense stakes, and the enduring truth that in war, every decision carries the weight of life and death.